people who look like me don't necessarily have access to tap into those opportunities. I'm committed to this work. My North Star as a leader of a workforce development organization is that in 10 years, I want to personally be responsible for getting 1,000 people who face systemic barriers a good job. Welcome to another episode of The Mission and Mandate, hosted by your very own Cedric Thompson, the Workforce Evangelist. Today, we will be talking about digital literacy in the workplace. We know that it's a skill that's needed in various career fields. Today, I'm going to be talking with a number of colleagues who have actually been a part of some digital literacy programming. I lead an organization in the nation's capital known as the Chart Academy. And one of the offerings that we have is digital literacy, because we understand that there is a digital divide, and that without that strong digital literacy, it makes it impossible not only for people to obtain and maintain a job in today's society, but even to upskill and get trained. Many programs are virtual or hybrid and requires a level of digital literacy. So we want to dig into that today. And I want to welcome my guest. I have Remington Crawley, who's here with me. He'll introduce himself. And I also have Tisha Johnson, who will also introduce herself.
Hello, I'm Remington Crawley. I'm a native Washingtonian. I took the digital literacy program, and I was in the Chart Academy. And those were one of the greatest experiences that I've had in the past year. So, and I actually finished it. So it felt great to be motivated and finish something for a change.
Hi, I'm Tisha Johnson. I'm a native Washingtonian from the Northeast section of D.C. I was referred to the Chart Academy through another organization, training organization, that I was taking IT boot camps, and now I made the Chart Academy my family.
Absolutely, your family. And so is Remington. He didn't say he's family, but your family. Okay.
Definitely.
Okay. I just want to make sure. So we're talking about digital literacy, right? We live in the information age. We're talking about everything as a computer, robot. I mean, you name it. You can hardly go in the grocery store. Well, you definitely have to have a computer in the grocery store. You have cameras for security. There's a lot that you have to do now, and it's all in the ether, in the cyber world. So how do you all feel about where we're going as a country and as a world in terms of technology?
As far as technology, I wouldn't say it's the main driving force, but it helps us in everyday life. So we use our phone for, to communicate. Whether it's just text messages, emails, anything. We need to work around knowing how to communicate with other humans.
Yeah.
Being able to have access to Wi-Fi is the, extension of our phone, because it connects us to the Instagram or social medias, which keeps us in touch on, everyday, activities. And even if it's not everyday activities, just what's going on in the world of sports, natural disasters, everything that can happen is either in social media or in media in general. So that's why I feel like our world is just leading more into a tech-driven or tech-based world rather than, actual human, connections.
Yeah. Okay. I'm going to stay with you for a minute. We're going to come to you, Tisha. Are you older than 30 or younger than 30?
I'm 23 years old.
Okay.
I'm younger than 30.
I wasn't going to ask you to tell your age, but but that's fine. You're 23. So you are a digital native, right? You talked about socials. Do you use technology for anything productive?
I do use it for things that's productive. Recently, I had to use my phone to get my learnings. I just acquired my learnings.
From it.
Yes, I acquired from it. And I felt like that was one of the biggest things that was in the way, because I will write things down. Like I will put in pen and paper.
Okay.
That's why I like art. So it's just like being handsy and, good with my hands. But to dive into your question, I felt like I do use things. I do use technology for, productivity, because I'll look at a picture on my phone and I'll draw that off, onto a paper, or I'll try to paint it. So it's just me reflecting what I see on, my technology, onto pen and paper.
Okay.
That's how I use.
So 10, 20 years from now, like, where do you see yourself?
10,
What kind of work do you want to do?
10, 20 years from now, with the digital literacy.
In general.
But in general, this is the biggest motivator, because I'm into construction and everything like that. So building my own shop as to where I can have my own art studio.
Okay.
Whether it's tattooing or bringing other artists that just want to paint, or, just a center for everyone who is into the art field musically, just talent-wise, just bringing them in, just building my own shop from either the ground up or finding at least, a building, just to have that. So in 10 to even 5 years from now, that's where I see it. That's where I see it. But I want it to be successful. That's where I see it in 15 to 20 years as a successful, as to where it's like communities and, different parts of the world, and instead of just being in my city.
How does the digital world factor into your dream?
The digital world factors into my dream because it allows me to outreach. So it allows me to build awareness for what I'm trying to do, or I'm not going to say what I'm trying to, what I'm going to do.
Okay, that's good.
So that's where the digital part really, the social media, the media, and everything of that nature kind of dives into, okay, art. Because you can take a picture of your art and be like, you have 10 different people that's in your household that's like, oh, I like that. Yeah, that's nice. But when you put it on social media, you have 10,000 different people saying, oh my God, that's beautiful, that's nice. And they're sharing it to 10,000 different people. So that's the awareness part. That's the, just being able to outreach your work to other people.
Yeah. Tish, how important is digital literacy to your life and to what you want to do?
Well, as you said previously, pretty much everything we touch now in the world, work or just our basic social life, is there's some type of digital literacy competency you must have. I've always had a love for technology, so I guess it's kind of telling my age a little, but in the late 1990s and early 2000s is when I first kind of got my foot into technology. However, with just your basic living, working, and trying to survive, you get content in what you're doing and just trying to survive to pay your bills and in order to survive. So I never was able to complete my certifications and further my education. And with the pandemic, it gave me the perfect opportunity to do that. And now it gave me, but technology is always evolving, and every 6 months it evolves something new. And so when I got back into the tech world, I saw I really needed to refresh myself. And so I've been actively taking boot camps and earning my certification. But even if you're in a service job where you're in Chipotle, you must have digital skills to operate the register or some of the cooking machinery may be computerized now.
That's right.
And so you
be a manager or a supervisor,
right,
to know how to put things into, spreadsheets.
scheduling. scheduling, you have to have digital competency. And that's why the digital literacy program I thought was great, and I took it. Although I had A+ and Security Plus certifications, but I, believe it or not, I learned something. I learned how to be more functional and navigate more around the productivity software as like Excel and things. And you really need that today in the workforce, even admin, just anything. You need to utilize those. So it was a great help to me.
So we got involved with digital literacy. We did some research in the city, and one of the things we looked at was the access of people with a computer and or internet access. Okay. And we saw discrepancies. If you had a bachelor's degree or higher, only about 3% of those people didn't have either or. If you didn't have a bachelor's degree, the number was about 30% of people without a bachelor's degree in the city do not have a computer or access to internet at home. So we then looked at other factors, like what kind of jobs require like computer use, right? And we found out, we knew this, but have you applied for a job on paper lately?
They don't exist.
They don't exist, right? You even need a computer and internet to apply for a job. So even at a basic, right? And then, of course, if you, let's say you wanted to do an upskill, you wanted to build your skills, 80% of training providers require you to have technology and digital literacy skills.
Yeah.
And so we knew we had to be a part of that solution. So that's how this got started at Chart Academy. Then we look at devices. So if people don't have computers and or internet, if we can get them a device, then that, gets them, Now, Remington, I heard you say a lot of what you do on your phone. How often do you use a computer?
I use a computer. I use it very rarely. I'll use a tablet for like a more like mobile device rather than a laptop, because I'm used to a desktop. When I first started on my computers, I started like the type in and everything, computer science. I started on a desktop computer, like.
Okay.
So laptops, they new, like for me, they're very new, but I'm accustomed to them. Like I'm accustomed to all technology, like very tech savvy, but I would recommend like sitting down at a desktop rather than just putting on my laptop and just getting on it real quick, because that's just how I am.
Okay. Tish, you use the computer frequently?
Yes, I do. I use all devices. I always had a computer, but mine was a little antiquated.
Okay.
And I was maybe one of those there in the percentage that didn't have access to a computer. I had one, but it was slow and antiquated, older Apple. And as we know, they're not cheap, Apple Mac computers, but I always had access iPad, but I prefer using a laptop just because sometimes there's smaller devices do not quite have the applications or the speed to do certain things, and if so, you have to buy them and download them.
Yeah.
But with a laptop, it's all there. But recently, I just had to purchase one, and that may be an issue because they're not cheap. You can find an inexpensive Windows laptop, but one that kind of sufficient to do some things you're gonna pay a little bit maybe, and that's maybe.
Yeah. All right, so I'm gonna push on this a little bit. So we know you need digital literacy, right? We just need it. We know you need devices. Do most of the people you may have come in contact with, whether it's through this program or not, Like, do they have that access? Like, what would they say? Would they say, I'm ready to learn it and I have everything I need, or would they still have a need?
I really think there's a need still when you go, and I hate to like marginalize, but the facts are there when you go east of the river or into some underprivileged neighborhoods. Internet access, from what I heard, is expensive. Just to have internet access. I know some of the providers was giving free internet access if you had children that were in school in DC. However, what I was actually hearing and experience is that it was still lagging and slow for them to do. So you will have to upgrade, and a lot of right can't afford $100 for internet access. So what I experienced, that is one of the issues, and having a reliable laptop is another. They have tablets and smartphones, but a reliable, good speed internet access, and which is a plus, and devices that suffice. Right, that's one of the issues.
Do you agree?
I definitely agree. I feel like those two just go so hand in hand, and they made it, that society made it go hand in hand. That's the way you have to have one to have the other. Because if you don't have a laptop, you're already out of it. You're out of the race. You're already out of the one. As to where you don't have a working device that's going to allow you to sign into these PDFs and and teach you about digital literacy. Because without me personally, without the laptop that y'all provided, I would have struggled. I would have struggled to do my digital literacy and everything I needed to do, and the speed that I did it, because it was a 2-week course and I did it in a week and a half. So it was like I got the hang of it. I got the retention and everything like that. It's just not having those things. It tells you, okay, I need to acquire this, or this is a must. So a lot of high schoolers or people that's coming fresh out of high school, getting into the workforce, who don't want to dive into more so university or college, they struggle. They struggle finding jobs because you have to go to the library, you have to use your resources. And when you are not accustomed to using your resources, it provides, you start to suffer a little bit. So, and you won't be able to find out about the Charter Academy or be able to, because I was in a program that was called CCPCS or something. It was something close to that. As to where it was doing the same thing, but they didn't provide people with what they needed. They had mentors or counselors, but it wasn't like, that's not really the same thing as like you're pushing me towards doing this and providing me with this. So this is more of a, you have to get it done for me, because it's like a motivator.
Yeah.
But at first that was like somebody's watching me. Somebody's like pity,
No, I think that, it really comes down to removing barriers, and barriers are sometimes few or many. And, buy internet access for my house or put food on the table. I mean, it's like a no-brainer. And so, but it's such a necessary thing. So I wanted to have this conversation with you all, because I'm like, we try to get devices out. It's not a MacBook for certain, but we do try to get a compatible laptop to our participants, because we want to contribute to some forward movement and really work to eliminate barriers. Also remote work, right? And we saw at the beginning of the pandemic, people who had very high paying jobs were able to work from home, right?
Yeah.
But people who had hourly jobs, like they had to go to work in order to provide for their family.
Yeah.
And even that kind of a, situation shows that there are just differences.
Yeah.
Because if you're in a job that was less digital, you probably had less of an opportunity to work from home, right? Or more of an opportunity for that job to be eliminated in a pandemic. But if you're, highly technical, running networks or whatever, you can do that from anywhere. So we don't believe that digital literacy is the end-all, be-all, but we believe it as a starting point. And I don't know if I heard you all say that today, but I think I did, that this is kind of like a leg up, so to speak.
That's what I meant by it. So it's a motivator because it's for me to get it done in that amount of time. It was like, what's next? What's the next step? So it's like, this pushes you to want to find out what else is out there, so you can, just for yourself, not even to, for everything else that's the opportunities, just for your path, like what's intended, what's my interest. Yeah. So that's what I really dove into with both programs.
So if you could help 10 people that you love and care about who don't have access to quality digital literacy, right? Like, what would you do to bring them in and keep them connected?
My bad. My sister got into the program, but as I was in the program, I had seen one of my cousins that's he's struggling. Honestly, I'm the type of person, I don't know exactly what I can do for other people. I just know if you're wanting to do something for yourself, then I have motivators that, people that if you can listen to them, if you can sit down and learn from them, then you will make yourself better and tenfold. So for 10 people, I can count 10 people, but
what would you tell them initially?
I would tell them that this is a program that will motivate you into the technical. If you're technically savvy, this is a big opportunity for you to dive into everything that you will want to do and pique your interest. And that's about it. And if you're into information technology, into information technology.
I had to ask this question. I know you were on the periphery when we were having the conversation earlier, but we talked about the acronym TEAM, and teams to testify, empower, educate, and multiply. So I'm going to ask the question again. If you could have 10 people, what would you say to them regarding digital literacy? Thinking about TEAM, testifying, educating, empowering, and multiplying.
Testify to the program, it would be that I developed than what I started. So I'm a different person than what I started the program with.
Okay.
Educate. I would educate them on how it benefits their everyday life, what you use technology for, and how you feel about technology in your life, because it has an effect on you. It affects you every day. It helped empower me because before this program, I wasn't doing anything that led to me being tech savvy. I just played video games and do everything like that. So empowered, it's made me want to get out into the world more, because I'm a homebody. So it makes me want to get out into the world more, find out what's out there for me, and do stuff for myself, not just for everybody else. And multiply, it's already multiplying, because my sister's, I put my on to the program. Somebody else that was at high school with me put me onto the program.
Okay. And also, I think, and Tish, we're coming to you because I think Stacey Abrams in her book, I can't remember the name of her book, but she wrote a book right after the presidential election. But a lot of times what you'll find in the Black community is that once people do all they can do to get to the table, they'll then want the next group of people of color to play by the same rules. But Stacey Abrams says we should actually hack the system. And when we get to that table, we should say, no, we're tired of making them come to the back door. Let's just open the front door and let them come on in. And so that's part of the work that we have to think about. Like when we get opportunity, like we can't hoard it for ourselves or make, tell them, you need to go through everything I went through to get it. Well, if I have this opportunity to bring somebody along to multiply my impact, then certainly I need to do that. What about you, Tish?
Well, actually, I brought in a few. I'm spreading the word. Because I thought it was, as you said earlier, a door opener. I just wanted to share with everyone, hey, this is a program where you can gain a certified certificate, learn, also obtain a laptop that you could work and continue to learn on. And if you miss this opportunity, you must be crazy. So I was out there, and even in my own time outreaching to folks and letting them know. And I saw quite a few folks that and I think it could have been maybe 10 or more that I outreached and they came to the program. So I'm like you. I feel like if we're to share it and get it out there and get everyone in, because that's the beginning, the point that we need, and to get everyone active.
All right. Well, thank you all for that. So, any final thoughts? Like any words of wisdom? Like if you ran into a lawmaker, the mayor, our Congress lady, like you run into them on the street, what would you say to them regarding digital literacy? Like what would DC need?
I feel like DC needs to not force, but include, like make sure people feel included into like the technology side of life, because technology is a big, the biggest factor of our life. If it's not, government or anything like that, or society and community, it's technology, because it's like literally a spider web. It connects each and every part of person. It doesn't discriminate. It doesn't tell people you can't get on this. It's for everyone.
Open web. They call it open web.
It's an open web. So everybody is invited to come on, but not everybody feels included. So that's how I feel about digital literacy, because I didn't know about it before this had happened. I knew about CompTIA, but I didn't know this was the bridge. Just knowing that this is the bridge between, you not knowing something about information technology and you knowing the beginners and the basics, and, diving into the intermediate and expert levels of information technology and technology in general. So that's what I was telling them. Like we need everybody needs a class around every ward. So
Tish, because Tish is gonna talk now. You see her, Tish say, "Oh, I have recruited a few, just randomly on the street." So what would you tell them?
I would tell them that I think that DC does have a lot of programs for people. I just think that a lot of and not to say but as Black and brown and doesn't quite know of the programs. So I would tell them that they need to outreach more and get it out there so everyone would know, because this program you came in is wonderful, but a lot of people don't know. And so part of that is to get the word out, it's the outreach, and they could be an influence in more funding so more programs like this can be given to our community, because we are lagging behind, and you told me earlier it disproportionately it's didn't feel good.
No, it doesn't feel good. I'm born and raised in the rural South. My parents' first house was on a dirt road. The second house was on a dirt road. Finally, we got on the paved road. But, opportunities did not necessarily abound. Like you worked in a factory, or you went to college to be a teacher or a nurse, because those like the jobs that were there. Or you move away. And so I moved away. And here we're in the nation's capital, really good jobs, good industries who are here. And it keeps me up at night that people who look like me don't necessarily have access to tap into those opportunities. And so I'm committed to this work. My North Star as a leader of a workforce development organization is that in 10 years, I want to personally be responsible for getting 1,000 people who face systemic barriers a good job, meaning a job with promotion potential, meaning a job that you can take off and take your kids to the doctor and still get paid, a job that comes with vacation time, a job that comes with a pension or some kind of other retirement attached to it. And so that's my work, and I'm going to continue to do it. But I'd like to thank you all for taking time out of your schedules to join us. Tish, you're no stranger here. You've been here before. Welcome to the show, Remington, and we'll potentially have you back in the future.
Thank you for that.
I would like to come back.
All right. Thank you. You have to bring some people. Multiply.
Yeah. It'll be one right here and one right here.
Okay. All right.
Replace this.
I hear you. Thank you all for tuning in to the Mission and the Mandate, where we've been talking about digital literacy in the workplace. We were fortunate enough to hear from two colleagues who were a part of the program, who's talked about their experience and the need for more digital literacy. Our goal is to remove any barriers that would prohibit a job seeker from getting a quality job. And so what we've heard here today, two things, is that there may be a number of programs and services available to include digital literacy. We have a mandate here, and the mandate is that we must outreach to communities where we know technology does not exist or is utilized at great levels. And so here we are with a situation where you have certain parts of, cities across America where digital literacy is not even a real thing because internet is lacking, because the actual technological devices are not available for people to use. And certainly in a day and time in the information age when most outreach is now done via social media or another social outlet, it really locks people out. And so this mandate tells us that we must find a way to remove this barrier of technological resources as well as internet resources, so that people are then positioned to even have the information to get into a program, that they would have the information to apply for a job, that they would have the information to receive any kind of assistance that may be necessary for their families. This is Cedric Thompson, the Workforce Evangelist, coming to you with another episode of The Mission and the Mandate. Please like, share, and subscribe. Stay tuned for the next episode.